Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome for the first time. If you clicked on this video, you're interested in a candle making tutorial using C-3 soy wax. So if you're still interested, stick around. So to jump right in, some of the supplies you will be needing are a pouring pitcher. The size doesn't necessarily matter as long as it's a metal pouring pitcher. A thermometer, one that you can insert into the wax because they're more precise. You will need a fragrance oil of your choosing. Warning labels, because we always use warning labels. You will need a pot that is slightly bigger than your pouring pitcher. It doesn't need to be too big because that defeats the purpose of double boiling. And you will need a scale. A regular kitchen scale will work fine. You will need a vessel, something to put your candles in. I use repurposed glass jars, so if you have a sauce jar or something around the house, those tend to work perfectly fine. You will need wicks that fit the diameter of your jar. Any manufacturing website will tell you the starting diameter of the wick that you need for your jar. And finally, you will need wax. So we're working with C-3 soy wax in this video. I'm going to be talking you through the diameter of my jar, the wicks that I'm using, and the specific temperatures that I'm using for this wax. So let's get into it. So I've just grabbed my wicks. I have the CD8 here. That's going to go into the clear vessel. And then I also have the CD6 here, and that is going to go into the vessel with the blue designs. And of course, I'm going to use a Sharpie marker to label which vessel is which, and that always helps in the future. So for those of you testing, it's always extremely important to jot down everything that you can control in the room. So whether that be the temperature that the AC was on, or that the fan was on, or that you poured the wax hotter or cooler, all of those things. But for this specific tutorial, I'm just going to be telling you everything that I'm doing, so it's something that you can do the exact same way. I do have a fan on above me, but that's something that I'll turn off eventually. I'm going to grab a Sharpie and I'll be right back. So I've gone ahead and labeled both of the jars. You can see here, this one says CD8, this one says CD6. We've got our wicks chilling in them, waiting to be placed. So there are a bunch of ways that you can place your wick. I enjoy using wick stickers, but a bunch of people use hot glue guns or the red glue, but I'm gonna stick to wick stickers. If you don't have wick stickers, you can choose your method of allowing your wick to be secured to the vessel. Here I am using a hollowed out pen just to secure the wick to the base. There we go. Now we've got them both secure, and it is time for us to make our wax or heat our wax. So I I am about to pour some fragrance oil because we are making two 4-ounce candles totaling 8 ounces. I am pouring 0.72 ounces of wax that totals 10% of our total candle weight. So there will be 7.28 ounces of soy wax to our 0.72 ounces of fragrance oil. Here you see me do an over pour, so I reach for the cup and pour a little bit back into the vessel, and then I pour a little too much back, and then I add that back. It is safer to under pour fragrance than to over pour fragrance. So when I finally get to 0.72, that is perfectly fine, and you see that I stick with it because that is close enough to 10 ounces for our, 10% for our total weight of our candle. So here it is time for us to weigh out our wax. I place the pitcher directly on the kitchen scale, and I am weighing out 7.28 ounces of wax. As mentioned before, it is okay to go slightly over, but not too much over. So you see that when I go too much over, I reach in and I pull out just a little bit of the wax just so I can get it to about 7.28. I land on 7.3, and that is perfectly fine. So it's time for us to melt down our wax. Here you'll notice that the pot I'm using is just slightly bigger than my pouring pitcher, which is the perfect size. You'll notice that when I place the pitcher in, it kind of floats. That's exactly what you want. If it touches the bottom, that defeats the purpose of the double boiler. Just to give you a better look of what's going on here, we have our pitcher in the pot, and there's about an inch to an inch and a half of water that allows us to give ourselves that control that we need.
We're going to wait until that gets to about 190 degrees.
Now that we've made it to our necessary temperature, we are going to remove the pitcher from the pot, and it's time for us to move pretty quickly because as soon as you remove the pitcher, the temperature starts to drop very quickly, as you can see here on the thermometer. The next thing that we're going to do is very quickly add the fragrance oil and stir, and immediately pour after. You're going to see that as I pour the fragrance oil, the temperature drops about 10 to 15 degrees. And in that time, we've immediately hit the perfect point for us to pour the wax and fragrance after it's been mixed into our vessels. So be prepared to move very quickly after you remove the pitcher from the pot, because you can very quickly move outside of that, the perfect pouring zone for this wax. Here I show you just how far the temperature has dropped. It's at about 153 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and pour very slowly just to avoid any air pockets and any holes, any sinkholes. So we're pouring really slowly between both vessels. Like I mentioned earlier, they are two 4-ounce candles. So we made a total weight of 8 ounces of wax plus fragrance, and we're splitting it amongst both vessels. If you'd like to know how I calculated the wax and fragrance oil for this tutorial, let me know in the comments and I can let you know the formula that I use to calculate this. I am by far no math expert. I just use methods that I've learned based on other videos and the research that I've done in order to calculate the perfect amount of fragrance and the perfect amount of wax.
Finally, I use clothespins to secure and center both of my wigs.
All right, so that concludes my candle making tutorial using C-3 soy wax. I'm going to go ahead and let these set up, give them about a week or two, and then I will be filming part 2, which falls under wig testing. So if you're interested in that, that should be out in about 2 weeks. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I hope you truly enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know in the comments some tips and tricks that you found helpful, and I will keep giving them. Bye.